dear students! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new in this channel, I share educational content for senior high school students, particularly video guides for the self-learning module. Bigyan niyo po ng suporta ang channel na to sa pamamagitan ng pagla-like, pagko-comment, pag-share at pag-subscribe sa aking mga videos. Daghang salamat! Today, we will be discussing the different kinds of quantitative research. It is very helpful to know the different kinds of quantitative research since it will give you a guide on what kind of relationships your variables have. Kung cause and effect ba? Kung kailangan mo bang gumamit ng control group or pure experimental lang ba? Or kung kailangan or kung gusto mo lang ba i-describe yung mga variables mo. So, let's start!
Hello everyone! Today we will be talking about the kinds of quantitative research. Most of the time, when we say quantitative research, it would involve the experiments or experimental design. However, quantitative research is a broad spectrum that it can be classified into smaller or more specific kinds. It could be descriptive design, correlational, ex post facto, quasi-experimental, and true experimental or experimental. So let us proceed to the definition of descriptive design. Descriptive design is used to describe a particular phenomenon by observing as it occurs in nature. The goal of descriptive design or descriptive research is to describe or only describe the object of the study. Example, the determination of the different kinds of physical activities and how often high school students do it during quarantine period. So how can we say that this one is a descriptive design? So as you can see, it describes or determines the different kinds of physical activities and how often high school students do it during quarantine period. So, you can see na wala siyang special kind of relationship. It just want to describe the different kinds of physical activities at saka kung how often, kung always ba, sometimes or never, the students do it during quarantine period. It does not do any cause and effect relationships or it doesn't involve any experimental design. Next, we have the correlational design. Correlational design identifies the relationship between variables. Correlational design is not describing, however, it just identifies the relationship between variables. So, for example, we want to know the relationship between the amount of physical activity done and the student academic achievement. So, in here, you just want to know, it is not describing what is physical activity. It is not describing what is student academic achievement. It wants to know the relationship between the amount, kung ano ba yung relasyon ng physical activity sa student achievement or academic achievement. Again, it's not describing, it is not getting the cause and effect. You just want to know the relationship between the two of them. So here we have ex post facto design. Ex post facto design is used to investigate the possible relationship between previous events and present conditions. So, kung si descriptive, nagdi-describe lang, si correlational, kinukuha mo lang yung relationship between two variables. Si ex post facto naman is kinukuha niya naman yung relationship between the previous events and the present condition. It looks at the possible causes of an already occurring phenomenon. For example, how does the parents' academic achievement affect the children's school participation? Ano yung previous event na nandito sa example na to? So we have the parents' academic achievement. This is our previous event. Ngayon, gusto nating malaman kung ano yung relationship between sa ating previous event, which is the parents' academic achievement, sa ating present condition, which is the children's school participation. So this is your present. So in ex post facto, malalaman mo ex post facto siya if merong previous event at saka present condition. Okay, so again, non-experimental designs of the quantitative research, we have the descriptive design. It only describes the variables. We also have the correlational design, which is, it is used to identify the relationship lang between variables. No cause and effect, and it's not describing. Next, ex post facto design, it is used to investigate the relationship between the past events to the current events. So, yun yung mga non-experimental designs ng ating quantitative research. Now, we will talk about the experimental designs of quantitative research. First, we have the quasi-experimental design. Quasi-experimental design is used to establish the cause and effect relationships of variables. Here, the independent variable is identified but not manipulated. The researcher does not modify pre-existing groups of subjects. The group exposed to treatment, experimental, is compared to the group unexposed to treatment, which is the control group. Sa quasi-experimental design, it also establishes cause and effect relationships. Ang kaibahan lang niya is meron siyang control group at saka experimental group. So, ang tatandaan nyo, basta quasi-experimental design, it is an experimental design that uses a control group and experimental group. Kino-compare nyo yung dalawa kung ano ba yung kaibahan pag nilalagyan ng treatment yung isang grupo. So, for example, the effects of unemployment on attitude towards following safety protocol in ECQ declared areas. So, here, you can see na meron tayong experimental group, which is the ECQ declared areas. Sila yung grupo na binigyan ng treatment or exposed to treatment, which is the ECQ. Di ba meron tayong mga lugar na under ECQ, meron din tayong mga lugar na not under ECQ, GCQ lang. So, this study wants to compare the effects of unemployment on attitude. Gusto niya i-compare yung effects of unemployment on attitude towards following of safety protocol in the ECQ declared area. So, mako-compare niya kung sa ECQ declared areas, ganito yung attitude ng mga tao following the safety protocol and compared to the GCQ declared area. So, there is an experimental and controlled group. Next, we have the true experimental design. True experimental design is like quasi-experimental, and it is used to establish cause and effect relationships of two or more variables. However, it does not use control group. It uses randomization in selecting its groups. So baka malito kayo between quasi-experimental at saka true experimental. Ang pinagkaiba lang nilang dalawa is hindi gumagamit ng control group or hindi gumagamit ng unexposed group si true experimental. Gumagamit siya ng random sampling or randomization. Example, a comparison of the various effects of blended learning to the reading comprehension of elementary pupils. Baka sabihin nyo na, ma'am, ito yung ano natin, experimental group, yung elementary pupils. No. In true experimental design, it uses random selection. Meaning, this study is best when it is using true experimental design. Why? In order to prevent biased result. Kasi in here, we want to compare the effects of various blended learning to the reading comprehension of elementary pupils. Hindi ka pwedeng pumili lang ng isang grupo ng mga elementary pupils. Paano kung pipiliin ko yung nasa SPED, yung mga higher learning or mga advanced na bata? Siyempre, mas mataas na yung reading comprehension nila compare sa mga hindi SPED students. And here, to prevent biased decision, the selection of the elementary pupils should be in random para hindi siya bias.
That will be all for our discussions. If you have questions, you can comment down on our comment box below. And that will be all. God bless. Adios and see you soon. Bye!